So let's start off by looking at what attributes and attribute sets are. So I want you to imagine a department store, and a department store can have many different departments and selling a huge range of products. So let's imagine a department store that on the one hand sells TVs, and on the other hand it also sells clothes. Okay, so let's say it's ladies' clothes. Right, so you walk into that department store, and the first instance is you're looking for TVs. So you go to the TV department, and there's a salesperson, and you talk to that salesperson, and they start asking you questions about what sort of TV you're looking for. So you might then say to them, right, I'm looking for, I need to have at least 3 HDMI slots on that TV. I want it to be at least 32 inches in size, the screen size. Also, I want it to be ultra high definition, and there may be a few other criteria that you specify. So you tell the salesman this, and what the salesman does is, using that information, he then presents you. So he filters down the products that you're looking for, and he presents you with the products, with a range of products, and you can now start comparing those products. Okay, so you buy the TV that you want. You then go off to the clothes department, and you're purchasing a dress. So the questions, same thing applies. You start talking to a salesperson, and the salesperson start asking you questions. So, what sort of dress is it? Is it for a special occasion? Is it casual? Have you got a requirement in material? Obviously, quite important is what size is that dress, and so on. And there'll be additional questions there. And again, it will then bring you to a point where you have a selection that you can choose from and compare, and then make your choice from that. Right, so we have a similar situation on our e-commerce store, except for the difference is on the e-commerce store, we don't actually have that salesperson there. So we need to help the customer out as much as we can. So let's take those 2 examples again, but then put them into our e-commerce store scenario. We have TVs and we have dresses. Now, we have to define the answers to the questions for each of those. So for TVs, we have to define, when we create a TV, we have to define what the screen size is. We have to define how many HDMI slots it has. And we have to put that in the product information. Likewise with the dress, we have to say what material it is, what dress size it is, and so on. We have to put that same information in there. Now, each of those elements that we put in is like a question about the product. So, what size TV is it? That is an attribute. And an attribute can be a whole range of things, and I will show you in a moment on Magento what they look like. An attribute can be a whole range of things. But simply put, it could be the name of the product, the size, number of HDMI slots, and so on. Likewise, we have those questions for the dress as well. Here's where attribute sets come in. So an attribute set is a set of questions. So imagine we're putting a dress into our system. So we start typing, the name of the dress, and then it starts asking us specific questions. So we might say, what material is it made of? Okay, so we can say it's made of cotton. And then it might come up with a question which says, how many HDMI slots has this dress got? Well, that's an irrelevant question for that particular dress. How many, is it ultra high definition? Well, that again is an irrelevant question for the dress. So we're not asking the right questions there for the product. So the way Magento deals with that is it allows you to create something called attribute sets. And that means that you can create a subset of questions that are only relevant to a certain product. So we would create an attribute set for our televisions, and we would create an attribute set for our dresses. And when we go to create those products, as we're creating them, we say what subset of questions we want to answer for that product. And by doing that, it means we can have very detailed information for the products without having to skip over questions that are irrelevant. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at in the next few videos, is how we set up attributes and how we set up our attribute sets.